Welcome back to another episode of the Fall Break Championship Review. So this was our losers bracket week. Only games down in the well, I shouldn't say losers bracket, although that's what it is. Consolation bracket is technically the nice way to say that, right? But let's hop into some of those games because this is the last week we're gonna have some people playing. All of these games are, win or go home. Right? Not very pithy, but that's what they are. So, we got our first replay here. We've got Logan versus Zach. Not a lot to say about this. It's an all-timer game from Logan. So, start off with the Ogerpon versus Charizard lead. Solid set for Charizard here to be able to go ahead and, just fire off a Flare Blitz. I think that's a smart move to do early. Find out what the switches are going to be. You need Alamalola gone to really get any traction going with Charizard anyways, probably. So, why not go ahead and do that? I mean, maybe not, because if it's Rocky Helmet, sure. But, if this is, the bulky DD, Roost, Flare Blitz, Iron Head, or Dragon Claw. Yeah, if this is Dragon Claw, Iron Head, DD, Roost, this could win. It could have won right there, I think. But potentially. There's a possibility for it. But not in this case. Just goes for the Flare Blitz, which isn't the wrong thing to do. This Altaria is obviously gonna Mega Evolve into the Fairy type and go ahead and Roost up. Be able to check that Charizard again later. Now Tapu Finney's gonna come out. So Logan made a mistake that I think a lot of people made when Tapu Fini came out in Gen 6. They're thinking oh, I can run Toxic on Tapu Fini. Been a long time. Oh wait, I said Gen 6, didn't I? Gen 7's when Tapu Fini came out. Tapu Fini goes for Toxic, which is one of the reasons that Tapu Fini is a less effective wall than a lot of others, just due to the fact that it can't actually wear things down with Toxic. So yeah, that's a problem. Now it's going to force out the Pecharunt. Pecharunt's going to get knocked off. And now this is where that negative synergy that I talked about in the draft episode comes up, because it's going to go for Malignant Chain, and it's not able to get a Poison, which means it's not able to get a Confusion. That's the big gimmick around Pecharunt, is Malignant Chain and getting poisons on stuff. And it doesn't have the ability to do that because of the Misty Terrain. And then Raikou's just going to go ahead and, I think, go for a substitute here. Yeah, Mudsdale's going to come out. If this Mudsdale's obviously a pretty good answer to it, with the exception of Scald, and now we're going to see a Burn come out here. Is going to be able to break the Earthquake on the Raikou, so it still can't set up, even despite that Burn. But, Zach goes into the Annihilate, and that's the first hit that it's taken. So now Rage Fist goes up to 100 base power. Scales too quickly, if you ask me. It's going to go ahead and send a Stealth Rocks as Stealth Rocks go up on Logan's side. And Zach goes, if he's going to give me an inch, I'm going to take a mile. He's going to start bulking up in front of this Mudsdale. And there's the first bulk up, and another Earthquake comes out. 150 base power on Rage Fist now. And he's not going to fuck around. Zach's just going to be I'm going to start getting off some damage, go for Rage Fist, do a ton of damage to Kartana. And Kartana's going to go for Knockoff. This is nitpicking. Knockoff's neutral hit. Sure, you want to get rid of the leftovers so it can't recover too much, but Leaf Blade's a little bit stronger just due to the fact that it's stab, and it's got a high crit chance, probably what he needed to go for here, especially because now Rage Fist is at 200 base power because of that knockoff. Drain Punch to get a modicum of HP back. We're going to stop right here because at this point, not a lot can really take on this Annihilate. So if you're in a situation where you go, oh man, I don't have anything that can outspeed and kill, what the game plan is there is you go figure out what's the Pokemon that can live a hit. Spoiler alert, it's not Pecharunt. Pecharunt can't live a hit. We're going to find the Pokemon that can live a hit, except Logan takes a long while to get there. So Rage Fist is going to come out, kill the Pecharunt. Charizard's going to come out. Good news is this thing's at least faster. So it's really got to hope that it's got a move that can break through this. Flare Blitz doesn't do enough. If he had gone for Leaf Blade instead of Knockoff, I think the damage difference probably, I was going to say, probably would have been so that it could have gotten the KO, but I guess it also would have gotten 2 more turns of Leftovers Recovery. But it only would have gotten 1 turn of Leftovers Recovery had he not just given up Pecharunt for free. And then we're going to see the Charizard go down to a Rage Fist, which is kind of no drawback. Just a design note to Pokemon. Rage Fist should probably just be 8 PP, and I think it should only go up, if it's gonna go up by 50 every time you get hit, it should probably only be 8 PP. 5 max out at 8. And even it should probably only go up by start at 50 and go up by 20 base power per hit. First hit you take is 70, second's 90, third is 120. I think, or no, not one, it'd be 110. I think that's reasonable scaling. The fact that this is a 250, this is a now 300 base power move is wild. Now Logan goes into Ursaluna, which has a good amount of defense and a lot of HP. +1 Drain Punch might not KO it. So he goes in here, Drain Punch comes out, didn't KO it. That's great, because Ursaluna has the ability, has Mind's Eye here. What Mind's Eye, it's scrappy, effectively. So now he can go for Blood Moon or Hyper Voice and KO this Annihilate, stop the bleeding. But he doesn't know that that's how that works, goes for Earth Power, doesn't get the KO. This is a bad showing by Logan. Not knowing his Pokemon's abilities, giving up free KOs. Logan's a better player than this. I mean, I'm gonna give him some heat for this because it's bad. I know it's Zach, and Zach's a great player, but Zach had to know, wow, this is easier than it needs to be. And at this point, Annihilate's KO'd the one thing that really gave him any sort of threat left. Tapu Finney's coming out, taking this 350 base power Rage Fist. And Mudsdale's already burned, probably couldn't KO anyways, and even if it could, Rage Fist is going to KO it from there. Easy 6-0 for Zach. GG, easy. And Logan's out of the Fall Break Championship. And Zach moves on. So I think that is going to wrap up this game. We can move on to our next one. This next one here is kind of tough to talk about because, I don't know, there's good play on both sides, but I think there's a decent amount of luck involved. Let's hop into the game here. So we've got Cinderace lead from Zane to Drew's lead Registeel. Registeel's important in this game. It's a good check to Ninetales, Hoopa, and Tapu Lele. Especially defensive Registeel is a tried and true check to things, not really a good tried and true counter to things, really. The only problem is its survivability. It can get worn down, but if you protect it, it won't. So we get the Garchomp coming in here, easily able to take that Pyro Ball, and then we're going to see the Cinderace U-turn out, take Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet. Awesome news for Garchomp. But also good information for Cinderace to have. Maybe a little bit of a risk here. I mean, I don't know what this Pyro... That looked like a pretty good amount of damage. I wouldn't look at this and be like, oh, that's defensive Chomp. Maybe... I'm going to make sure I get the names right because I messed it up last week. Maybe Zane did? Maybe Zane checked it and made sure it was... He could definitely... I mean, this could have been Scarf Chomp for all he knows. So I think that was maybe... a bit of a risk, but kind of worked out, kind of didn't, because that's a good amount on the U-turn, but also he took a good amount back. Tapu Lele is going to come in and set up Psychic Terrain. I don't love this play. I probably would have gone to Alolan Ninetales. I can obviously scare Garchomp out with the Fairy move or the Ice move, and it would have been a good opportunity to set up Aurora Veil. So he's going to stay and take a ton of damage on that switch-in. And then he's going to go for the moon. Or actually, no, wait, hold on. Oh, he switched into that. Right. Okay. Switched into that. Took a ton of damage. And then he's going to send out his Alolan Ninetales. And as he gets teleported on, Heavy Slam's going to do a ton of damage. Still a good call here. Heavy Slim, even though it's 4 times effective and 120 base power against this Ninetales, it's got boosted defense from the snow in addition to the boosted defense from the Aurora Veil, so it's taking a quarter damage. Also, that's just another point out when he switched in his Tapu Lele on that Earthquake, he could have switched in Alola Ninetales, would not have taken, it probably would have taken less than 50% in that situation, just due to the fact that it was defense boosted by the hail, right? Okay, so we're going to see the Psychic Seed pop as a Thunder Wave comes out. Pretty unfortunate timing here. I don't know that bringing in Sneasler was a good idea. You see him make a much better idea in a little bit, because now this Sneasler's Unburden is essentially voided. It's now back to basically its normal speed. Double the speed from Unburden, half the speed from Paralysis, back to where it was. Psychic Seed is consumed, so it's got that Spadef boost. Spadef hits pretty well, but not really going to be the big setup threat that it otherwise would have been. And actually gets paralyzed here. I think that is an unnecessary risk for Drew to have made. Staying in with the Registeel here. Registeel is really important to checking half of Drew's team, Zane's team right now. He's going to stand again. This time just get U turned on, which is pretty good. And we're going to see Zygarde come in. We go for another Heavy Slam. That's doing no damage. And we're going to see Leftovers bring it back. If I'm Drew at this point, I'm really scared of a Substitute. Ends up not being Substitute, but he's just going to get Glare paralyzed. So, and fully paralyzed too, unfortunately. So he loses a turn there. But now the Psychic Terrain's down, so is the Aurora Veil. Now we're going to see the Dragon Dances start coming out. And again, I think too big of a risk to leave Registeel in here. And it also doesn't pay off because we see that he's fully paralyzed. Another Dragon Dance comes up here, and we see why he stayed in. He thought it was important to get off this Ice Spinner. It's really good bring on Ice Spinner because it destroys the terrain. He's going to use it later, spoiler alert, to get rid of Psychic Terrain, which is helpful. And does a good amount of damage, but now that is just incentivizing Zane to start clicking 1,000 Arrows. And we are going to see that come out here against this Uxie. Does almost half damage and smacks it down. And now we're going to see another Dragon Dance go up. So now he's definitely able to KO, get rid of those Leftovers. Now this follow-up 1,000 Arrows is going to be able to KO the Uxie. Good calcs there. Porygon's going to come out. Porygon's going to be able to live this upcoming 1,000 Arrows here. Be able to get the KO back with Ice Beam. Good that that's gone. That is a Pokemon that could threaten Registeel. There's only 2 of those left, and now you check what is that? That's math. That's 60% of this team with Registeel. 60% of this team can't hurt Registeel. Alola Ninetales is going to come out and take this opportunity to heal Bell. Actually, I get Porygon's wanting to recover there. I do part of me wants to say oh, I should have Terra Blasted or Thunderbolted or whatever he's got to KO this Ninetales, but I think recovering was a good play there. Aurora Veil's going to go up, Teleport's going to come out, and Registeel, the check to Ninetales, is going to come in. Blizzard's going to come out, do basically no damage. We're going to paralyze this Ninetales again. It's going to make him chew up another one of those healing bells, which is a limited resource. And you also stalled out quite a few turns of Aurora Veil. That is presumably Light Clay Ninetales. I didn't count the turns last time. Although it might not be, because actually the Psychic Terrain went down around the same time that the Veil did. So we'll keep an eye out on that. He's going to set up Psychic Terrain again with Tapu Lele. Just try to do a little bit of damage. And Ice Spinner is going to take down the Psychic Terrain. I'm iffy on this play. I feel like you might have just wanted to take out the Lele. But I get why he did what he did. It could go either way. Cinderace is going to come out, eat a Thunder Wave. Now there's no way of removing that Thunder Wave. This Registeel is still relatively full health, still checks half the team. And he's going to go into Lycanroc Dusk. Right call. U-turns out. Another good call. And Tapu Lele is going to come in on the Lycanroc. And now you go hard into Registeel. I think Lycanroc wasn't super important there. I think you want to get rid of this Tapu Lele. Because obviously, like, a lot of his team is built around checking this Tapu Lele. I think you just want to get rid of it. Go for Crunch. Go for whatever you need to go to. Get rid of the Lele. Terrain's gone. And you can kind of work from there. Or the terrain setter is gone, rather. Cinderace is going to come in on a full para. Still got a pretty healthy Registeel. And it's going to eat a high jump kick. You showed that a good check to this before was Garchomp. You can do some damage to it, and you can definitely outspeed and kill it. Risking this Registeel, I think, is a bad play, especially because you weren't able to get off that Ice Spinner and get rid of the terrain. I am not going to lie, this is really bad luck with how many times Drew got parried here. Let me Control F. Full, no? Okay, what is the Registeel? Oh, okay. Is paralyzed. Registeel. Yeah, so Registeel got fully paralyzed 4 times. That's 4 turns he lost. Now, granted, part of me is saying, like, you know, that's one of the reasons you run paralyzing moves to try to buy yourself turns. But on the other hand, 4 times out of how many turns he was in, that's quite a few times. That's bad luck. And they were at critical moments, but on the same page, he shouldn't have been risking Registeel. Like, Porygon 2 checks the same things Registeel checks at this stage of the game. It was kind of superfluous. Maybe he thought Porygon 2 would be able to check Hoopa and Tapu Lele well enough. I think probably you should have just gone into Porygon 2 there, and then hard gone into Garchomp. Garchomp kind of gets a KO from that point. That's what I think he should have done. Garchomp's going to come out, go for the Earthquake, not quite get the KO. Pretty unfortunate that he's going to have to eat that high jump kick, but it is going to take down the Cinderace with the Rough Skin. Hoopa's going to come out, kind of threatening Choice Scarf. I don't know that damage. That feels kind of Choice Scarfy to me. And at this point, Drew makes another mistake that I've seen a lot of people make where it goes, ooh, that did more damage than I want to. Let me switch out to something else that's going to faint. And Lycanroc's going to come out and go down to that Psychic Terrain. Psychic Terrain boosted Expanding Force. Now, let me run the math here. The last Expanding Force that this thing took did 40% damage. It's half the base power since the Psychic Terrain's not up. And it's doing 30% less damage because the Psychic Terrain's down. So theoretically, this can no longer KO the Porygon with Expanding Force. Right? Because it's going to be doing 15%. Something stupid low. So, comes into Porygon. Going to go ahead and go for a recover here. So now it will hopefully be able to take hits later. But it gets crit on this follow-up Psychic. But that's not too bad, because he just recovers it back off right away. Really bad luck, but this Porygon's still healthy enough to do what it needs to do. Now he's going to go ahead and be like, okay, I'm going to take the shot, fire off a Shadow Ball. Doesn't get the KO on Sneasler. We're going to try to wear it down with the Garchomp here. And he does. Like, that's a lot of damage for Garchomp to have to take. Iron Bundle's going to come out. It's faster. Unfortunately, though, Iron Bundle can't kill Hoopa in 1,000 years. It's going to go for, what, Ice Beam? Yep, KO the Tapu Lele. And then in's going to come the Hoopa. So this is kind of where you put yourself in a position where if Registeel's still around, this Hoopa can't click Expanding Force. I don't know what the right play would be at this point. I mean, we'll go through it real quick. Going to Porygon 2 was not the right play, because you see how much this does. You can't live 2 of those. I think probably... I mean, the right play was not be so, like, you had really bad luck and you made some risky plays. They didn't work out. I think in that scenario, you just attack, you let Iron Bundle go down. I'm pretty sure, let's see, 26. So that would be roughly 390. If this is a max speed Iron Bundle, it still outspeeds Hoopa. You can go for an attack and try to get some damage off on it. Actually, we do see that it outspeeds the Hoopa later. So... you get some damage on the Hoopa, right? And then Iron Bundle goes down. Maybe even get a freeze. Maybe go for Ice Beam again, and you hope you get a freeze, right? And then you go down. And then you can go into Hoopa. And then you're still on, or sorry, go into Porygon 2 against the Hoopa. Still on turn 36. That means there's 2 turns of Psychic Terrain left. You can go for a Recover on turn 36 after he does the 44% or whatever he did to you. You recover. So now you're at 86%. You could then at that point it's a gamble. You try to recover again as the Sneasler comes in, or do you just attack and hope that and like try to take out the Hoopa on that turn? I think you probably recover again, because even if you go, because I think the play works out well, because he goes Sneasler. I don't think if you're at full, it KOs you, and then you have to hope, and then Hoopa has to try to KO you. I think that's probably the play. What he did was a 0-win play, because I know that he misses this Hydro Pump here, but that Hydro Pump's doing like 40% max to Hoopa. I hate to bag on Drew because Drew's played really, really well the past few seasons. Not to say that Zane hasn't, but Drew, maybe he's on tilt because, you know, bad luck in this game, but this is not his best played game, and he got bad luck. I think that Zane made some errors that he could have taken advantage of. He wasn't really aggressive enough with some of his plays in terms of Zane. So, but still plays his endgame well enough to get the win. So I can't take that away from him. Well done, Zane. Moving on to the next round. And also, we're going to be moving on to the next battle. So here we have an ABL Classic. It's Dakota versus Kyle. A tale as old as time. And here we also have Kyle versus Dakota, where Kyle has a Mew. Some ABL historians may know that through the first, I want to say it was 5 seasons of the ABL, Dakota could not beat Kyle. I think they were at that point, by the season 6 playoffs, Kyle was like 21-0 versus Dakota. I think we were still playing 2 games per season, and they were playing at least twice a season. I think they had played 1 or 2 times in the playoffs. So we're going to say Kyle was, we'll say 21-0. Might not have been that, but I think roundabouts there. And Dakota beat Kyle because Kyle's entire team was somehow predicated around he had a Mew, and if that Mew got crit with a knockoff from something, I don't remember what it was, then Kyle couldn't win from that point. And then on turn 2 of the battle, Kyle's Mew got crit, and Kyle gave up his first loss to Dakota. Since then, they've gone back and forth pretty well. I think Kyle still sometimes gets a little bit of an edge in those games. But historically, that was the turning point, and there's a Mew here. So just some fun stuff going on there. Let's hop into the battle. We got a lead Latios versus Mew. Dakota's not messing around with Mew. He's just going to leave as Mew goes ahead and gets Stealth Rocks against Zapdos, then fires off a Taunt to make sure that he can't defog. I think that's a smart play. But he's just going to U-turn out, do some good damage on that. And Incineroar is going to come in to deal with anything else that can come out. Kyle's just going to go for an Explosion, not letting Dakota crit that Mew this time. And Incineroar is going to take a decent amount of damage as a knockoff comes out. Landorus is going to come in, obviously threaten this with like an Earth Power. Kyle makes a really good prediction, goes for the Sludge Wave, gets off a lot of damage on Latios. Latios is obviously going to be able to outspeed and threaten it. Kyle's going to go into his answer to that, which, okay, so I was running a lot of calcs here. So we see a Roost come up from the Latios. That's really smart, even though this Weavile comes in. So you might be thinking, oh, this Weavile is just going to easily trap this Latios, and we're going to move on to the next phase of this battle. Sorry, I'm doing a slight readjustment to the video there. But I was talking to Dakota about this situation. I suggested Colbur Berry. So the calc that I had was Latios with no HP or defense investment can always live a pursuit from even choice banded Weavile with a Colbur Berry if he just stays in and attacks. And he always KOs back with Pursuit. Or not Pursuit, excuse me, Aura Sphere. And the Pursuit only does like 37% max. So let's see what happens. Eats the Colbur Berry, great. Also, this works for knockoff. From this range, he also couldn't be KO'd with a Choice Banded knockoff, even without any investment. Does 32% damage. On the low end of what I expected, but hey, it is what it is. And he doesn't KO with the Aura Sphere. This surprised me, so I went and calc to try to figure out what was happening. So we're going to head over to the calculator here. There we go. So this is my Lottie. I have come to the determination that this was max HP Lottie. And you can see Pursuit here from Choice Banded on Colbur Berry. That's the high end. That might have been a high roll with the Pursuit. And this is all of the speed that Weavile would have needed to make sure he was faster than Lottie. This 136. Just put the other 120 in defense. I think that's a smart move because Aura Sphere is not a guaranteed KO. He might have been something else, but I think these calcs match everything that happened for me. Either Dakota or Kyle, I'm sure, will tell me if I'm incorrect about the sets, but these match everything that happened in the battle. Obviously, this isn't the exact moves, but, you know, is what it is. Dakota didn't need this HP investment, though. And everything still works out. Still could have lived a knockoff. Still could have lived a Pursuit very comfortably. Could have dumped all the rest of that into special attack. Been guaranteed to KO any version of Weavile that he would have wanted to. So I think that was a mistake in the build by Dakota. He caught him off guard, but he wasn't able to capitalize on it because just wasn't able to get the KO with Aura Sphere, which is unfortunate because... I mean, you wouldn't think that Aura Sphere would have to be invested to KO a Weavile, but just goes to show you, just a little bit of investment there can really go a long way if you optimize your speed. So, we'll hop back over here. So, Aura Sphere only gets 99% of the way, and, Kyle just messaged me, he's going to give me the exact set in a little bit so we can find out for certain. And then the other Pursuit still not able to get the KO. Let's see if I didn't calc without... Oh, that's spoilers. Let me just take off the Colbur Berry. You guys can see enough here. Yeah, that's still within range, I think. 67, 63. Oh, maybe even a little low. So, yeah. We'll figure that out later. Well, we'll get more sets. We'll get a clearer picture. Not that it matters. Said he just dumped the rest into HP. Jolly, just enough speed to outspeed max speed Lottie, dumped the rest into HP. Okay, well, let's hop back into the calc and let's play with this. This 120 wasn't in SPDEF. It was here. So, okay, oh, but this is this version. Oh, that's why my calcs were goofy. Okay, boom. And that Pursuit without the Colbur Berry, that range now makes sense. And Aura Sphere, so had a 56% chance to KO, about a 50-50. Now so that is probably what everything was. We're gonna go ahead and say that's the calcs. So, and then the Pursuit did 63. Does that line up with this? That is within the range. So yeah, those are our sets. That's what happened. Now, just basically what this is if that Lottie was not invested in HP, instead invested in special attack, would have KO'd the Weavile, would have had much more HP going into this final stretch here, which I do think makes a difference, particularly against Rotom, as we'll see in a little bit. And also, he would have... You'll see the Stealth Rocks are up, so right now this Latias is dead unless he can clear it. We're going to see Ditto come in, copy the Lottie, and fire off an Ice Beam. Smart play, hits a lot of the stuff. Glamora is going to come in. Now, Glamora wants to get rid of these hazards. If he goes for Mortal Spin as Mawile comes in, Mawile actually blocks the Mortal Spin. That would have been a cool play to see, but I totally understand why he didn't do it. Mortal Spin's going to come out, poison the Landorus, and clear the rocks. Zapdos is going to come in on the Landorus, predicting the Earth Power. We're going to see a Calm Mind from Landorus come up. This is very threatening because Sludge Wave is going to do 77% of that Zapdos, and he just U-turns out now that Zapdos is low. Lottie's going to come in, threaten this Landorus as Rotom Wash comes in on the Ice Beam. Now, here, a couple of things would have gone differently had this Lottie been healthier. it could have stayed in and gone 1v1 with his Rotom. Rotom can't do a lot to threaten it outside of a Thunder Wave. Now, granted, Dakota doesn't know if it's got Thunder Wave yet, so I think what he does here makes a ton of sense. Going into Zapdos to scout that, sees a Thunderbolt come out. If I'm Dakota now, I'm assuming he doesn't have Thunder Wave, because I think it would have made sense to go for it there. If you're going to stay in at all, you're going to go for Thunder Wave, or you're going to go for Volt Switch and get out of there. I'm not, like, Thunderbolt doesn't make any sense to me, unless he doesn't have any of those other moves. Urshifu's going to come out. This Rotom is theoretically designed to deal with it, and you're going to see a Will-O-Wisp come out. Now I know this thing doesn't have Thunder Wave. You're not running dual status typically on Rotom. Highly unlikely. So then we're going to keep moving on. So this Glimmora is going to be in here, and it's going to go for a Toxic here. Now, this is important for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you see this Hydro Pump miss. That sucks. Having this Glimmora off the field would be kind of a big deal. Oh, Kyle sent me the set. Let's take a quick look. Yep, exactly what I had here with the Jolly Nature Choice Band. Yep. Yep, I mean, right down to the... Let's see if I can... I'm not going to realign all this. Let's see if I can just drag it over and have you see. Is there anything in here I don't want you to see? I don't think so. You can see right there, 120 HP, just like we had. Which, yeah, just goes to show that was also even a role then for Dakota. He didn't even need much investment on the special attack to be able to KO with Aura Sphere. Anywho, back to... Oh, geez, I didn't reframe this. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so Hydro Pump comes out, misses Glimmora. That's really unfortunate, because this Glimmora is going to stick around for a lot more of the battle and be an annoyance. Plus, it's just going to milk turns, right? So this Hydro Pump would have KO'd. Ends up not, and we don't even see, do we see Volt Switch from Rotom at any point? Spiky Shield on another Hydro Pump. I don't get the Spiky Shield play, but obviously it's fine here, it worked out. And then we're going to see Scizor come in on another Will-O-Wisp. Really unlucky, I'm sure Kyle would have loved to get a burn on this Scizor, right? But ends up not happening. He's going to go for a Volt Switch, which is also surprising because could have Will-O-Wisped again there, and Dakota would have had a burned Scizor. Obviously, he was fine with that at that point. So, yeah, just really, I don't know, kind of a baffling play there. But the Ditto's going to come in, figure out what's going on with this Scizor. Now, might be wondering, hey, why did he not Mega Evolve? It's because the Ditto's around. Dakota told me he was Light Metal Scizor, so this is a non-technician Scizor right here that can't Mega Evolve into Mega Scizor, so it's stuck like that. So it's, I mean, it's still Scizor, still pretty strong, but it's significantly weaker than it would be otherwise. So Incineroar is going to come in. I don't know if Dakota was rocking U-turn. No reason, yeah, no reason not to U-turn there. I don't see why you wouldn't. Trailblaze is going to come out. Now, okay, now I'm starting, I had a thought about this because I had another calc open here. I'm going to run back over to the calc real quick. So you can see this is a Jolly Incineroar. Trailblaze does about that much to a fully Fizz-Def Rotom Wash. All those calcs match, right? So Trailblaze did that much. Even if he's not speed invested at all, a +1 Incineroar guarantees to outspeed a Rotom Wash. So now I'm thinking that might have been Choice Scarfed. I didn't consider that before. Sorry, I gotta run back here. Let's see. Taunt. It didn't outspeed. Did it? No, it didn't outspeed the Mew. I hate to have gone down this rabbit hole. Mew, Suicide Lead. Let's say it's Max, because that makes sense. But it obviously wasn't Red Card. Would have been funny if he was normal gem or some shit. +1. Let's say, but he wasn't. If he's Scarf, does he outspeed 360? Yeah, he does. Okay, so he's not Scarf. He's not Scarf, or if he is he Adamant? Would that do it too? That'd be a tie, actually, which is kind of interesting. Did he switch moves at that point? I can't. This makes for compelling podcasting, doesn't it? Knockoff, it failed. Yeah, it could have been Scarf. Could have been Adamant Scarf tie. Oh, but the Trailblaze would have done more damage. I'm gonna say it's not. No, I'm not doing it right now. I'm not doing it. We've gone far enough. So I don't. But all of that is to say, I don't know why we see a hard switch out from Incineroar here. I'm now working under the assumption that it was Scarfed, maybe. Like Adamant Scarf, and he didn't want to risk a Hydro Pump, but that tends not to matter because Kyle can't hit a Hydro Pump to save his fucking life. And now you're just gonna see this Rotom Wash go down here. And Glamora is still at a healthy amount of HP. Really sucks for Kyle. Obviously the Earth Power is gonna come up here. Dakota can now play really safe. He's got so many sacks to play with. I'm gonna come out with Latias. Just go for the Ice Beam, try to get the KO. In on the Mawile. This, oh, okay, hold on. We're gonna find out here. Drops the Play Rough. Okay, yeah, so we don't find out there. Parting Shot. Yeah, Scarf makes sense. I'm gonna say it's Scarf. Ice Beam, KO's the Landorus. That thing finally goes down. Now we're gonna have Mega Mawile coming again. Dakota tries to play around a Sucker Punch, doesn't happen. We're just going to see the Mawile take down the Lottie. Incineroar is going to come out. Parting Shot there. Okay, now it's confirmed. I mean, 218. Not necessarily. Could have just been flat out faster, right? So we're going to see a Swords Dance go up. Really good play there. Dakota's again going to try to play around the Sucker Punches. Not going to matter. He's just going to get off a Fire Fang and KO that Scizor. Urshifu's going to come out. Surging Strikes is going to be enough to KO. I feel like it's banded. I can't be certain. So let's talk about the late game plays here. If Dakota, because like there's maybe a 50-50. If Dakota like goes into Ditto, it can take those Surging Strikes. Close Combat is going to do quite a bit of damage to this Urshifu, but it's probably not going to be enough. Like, maybe the Close Combat puts it in range for, like, a Sucker Punch from Mawile, but I'm not really sure. It's tough. And then even then, it comes down to, like, maybe some, what's the word? Mind games, like Sucker Punch mind games with Incineroar and switching and stuff, so. But, yeah, we're going to see finally here, he's going to come in with the Ditto, he's going to copy it, he's just going to go for Surging Strikes there, because he's going to be able to crit through the Intimidate drop, but not going to matter, even though this Urshifu is faster, because Choice Scarf just can't do enough damage to this opposing Urshifu with a resisted hit. And Close Combat's going to clean that up. I think this is banded. Can't be certain, but I'm going to say banded. Yeah, Dakota comes away with a, hard-earned win. Bad luck for Kyle. Hate to see the fact that his two battles this season, or in this off-season rather, were lost definitely in large part against Papcoon to misses on a 90% accurate move. In this, missing 3 Hydro Pumps really hurts. I can't say for certain that it made the difference in winning and losing, but it definitely put him in. He didn't reframe things. It put him on the back foot, and it made it much harder to recover from that position. But that being said, Dakota played quite well. And I think he had a good game plan coming into this, and it worked out for the most part. And now we can move on to our marquee match of the week.
It's paralyzed on the spot.
Well, that's not what I meant to do. Jeez. Okay, hold on. Let me do the thing.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
I just